So what's going on, guys? My name is Mr. Dalek JD and welcome back to another exciting Black Ops 4 Zombies video, where today I have a video that I've been very excited to bring to you guys, one that I'm sure you've all been waiting for as well. And in this video, we are going to be diving in and breaking down the brand new Blood of the Dead intro cutscene and explain exactly what's going on here, trying to pick out clues on where we could be going next, what's happening with the story, as well as a bit of a catch up for those who might be confused on what the heck just happened in that cutscene. If you guys go on to enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you guys spent a second to drop a thumbs up on the video. It's absolutely free and only takes a second. And if you're new around here, make sure to subscribe as well with notifications turned on so you get the latest and greatest Black Ops 4 Zombies videos right to your subscription feed. And if you have any other ideas on what's going on in this cutscene that I've not mentioned, then please let me know down below. But let's jump into it. So within the first 6 seconds of the intro cutscene, we are plunged into darkness before we hear a sound effect of our characters entering Alcatraz through a portal. Now this is going to be a bit of a running theme throughout this intro cutscene, as the type of portals that are being used here are portals which you've not seen before inside of Black Ops 3 Zombies. The last time we saw these portals was actually in the Call of Duty Zombies comic, which the Victor's crew as well as another version of Richtofen were using to teleport throughout different dimensions. Now the storyline follows that our characters during Black Ops 3 Zombies teleport from Zetsubou-no-Shima into Alcatraz to retrieve a set of blood vials for each character before teleporting out back into Zetsubou. But clearly in this cutscene our characters don't make it out of Alcatraz, so a few different explanations are at play here, but we'll get into that a little bit further into the cutscene breakdown. So then we have our characters, Nikolai, Dempsey and Takeo, having a discussion about them being in total darkness before Richtofen announces that they are here. Now a nice little throwback is that our characters enter into the Alcatraz prison itself through a crack in the wall which is hidden behind by a poster, and this is a throwback to an Easter egg step inside of Mob of the Dead. Once you collected the Hell's Retriever, you'd throw it at this poster and it would reveal a crack in the wall, and you actually went into afterlife mode and went behind the wall in order to do a step for the Golden Spork Easter egg, and this is the exact same area and crack which our characters use to climb into Alcatraz, so a really cool throwback. However, in the normal Mob of the Dead map, that door is normally shut, whilst in this version the door is open so our characters can freely walk into the prison cell blocks. You then hear Richtofen say this:
"They should be closer to the lab. No matter. This way, if you please."
To explain why he says this, we look in the Call of Duty Zombies comic, as in the final issue, what is supposed to happen is the Primis crew teleport through this blue portal and arrive straight into the lab, but this time they teleported into a wall behind the lab and had to break into it. Now as our Primis crew make their way into the underground lab, we see a pan around the underground laboratory where we see suspension devices where the Victor's crew were placed on ice in the comics, and they are still here inside of this version of Alcatraz. And yes, when Nikolai looks into one of them and sees someone in there, that is in fact Misty in full-blown high definition. Pretty damn exciting. We're presented with another version of Richtofen, which we do also see inside of the Call of Duty Zombies comics, and as the situation plays out, our characters from Zetsubou-no-Shima enter into Alcatraz, collect the blood vials, and then simply leave. But things turn out differently in this version. What we see here from this other Richtofen is behavior which the Richtofen we are playing as is pretty confused by. Clearly the cycle is broken here, as this version of Richtofen is at a point in the original storyline where from this moment he teleports into Black Ops 3's Shadows of Evil to collect the summoning key. But this is a very different Richtofen, as if you've noticed, he doesn't have any blood vials on him. Looking at the way the scenario pans out within the comics and then looking at it within this cutscene, you can clearly see that something has gone wrong. What should happen here is the characters should leave Alcatraz with the blood vials and continue on with the timeline and the cycle, which leads them to Gorod Krovi and then Revelations, which then restarts everything back again, and we start at Origins. So whilst the Revelations ending made it seem like it was one perfect cycle, this version of Primis that we're seeing are in a version where the cycle is broken. Breaking this down to make this even easier to understand, the events that happen throughout the 10 years of our zombie storyline happen in a continuous cycle and will always continue to do so, as that is how the story is written. For better context of what's happening within the cycle we know and timeline, we can look to the Kronorium and the official timeline itself, as on July 4th, 1941, Richtofen returns to the lab under Alcatraz where he meets Victus, arriving from the empty Earth with the Kronorium. Upon reading the Kronorium, Richtofen discovers numerous timelines documenting their fates and learns about the blood vials. He would later write on the page, "I now know what I must do." Richtofen enters a rift to acquire the blood of Sal and Finn, and after delivering the blood to his younger self, which happens before Origins, and recovers the blood vials belonging to Victus, he returns into Alcatraz. And the Victus crew is placed on ice to be kept safe until they are needed next. That explains why this other Richtofen is here in the lab in the first place. That's still following the same procedure as it was foretold in the Kronorium. And on a separate timeline, on the same date at the same time, Primis arrives to collect the Victus blood samples from Richtofen. Following Primis's departure, Richtofen learns the location of the summoning key and travels to his next destination. As you can tell in this cutscene, that does not happen, so the events of Black Ops 3 do not happen. Richtofen has previously read the Kronorium, so knows exactly what is going to happen and how it should be done in order for the outcome to be successful. So when Richtofen is reading the Kronorium here to himself and notice the pages are changing, he mentions now that it talks about his blood and their blood, and asks how the other Richtofen can expect him to do this before that other Richtofen disappears through a blue portal. May I also note that that Richtofen that disappears does not have blood vials on him, whilst the Richtofen in the comics does. So that Richtofen we saw right there seems to be a Richtofen from a post-Revelations universe, and something quite wrong has happened. And in order to fix that, he obviously needed to go and find an earlier version of himself and stop himself from actually performing the events that lead up to Revelation. So an insane paradox is starting to form. But the most interesting thing is Treyarch actually told us that something along these lines were going to happen right in Shadows of Evil, as there was a cipher within that map which says, although they know the way, Primis will fail. And as it's seen right here, the Primis crew are actually failing because the cycle isn't continuing, it's broken. As we see later on in the cutscene, Brutus destroys the portal that the characters were going to use to get back to Zetsubou, continuing on the cycle, so it is in fact broken, and he questions why the other him could do such a thing. As you notice, as Brutus destroys his portal, it leaves a glass shattering effect, which is a visual implication and aid by Treyarch to explain what is happening to all of the universes when an event like this has taken place. When Richtofen shot himself in the giant, it created a load of fractured universes, and this has done the exact same thing. It's created a multitude of fractured universes outside of the fractured universes that already existed. In Black Ops 3, the whole point of the fractured universes was to go to each dimension and wipe out the original version of the characters from the storyline of World at War to Black Ops 2. This completely throws a spanner in the works, as our characters are somewhat stuck inside of Alcatraz, and we can assume that the versions of our characters that we are playing are pre-Gorod Krovi, so they've just come from Zetsubou no Shima and currently don't have any knowledge of the existence of Dr. Monty. We can safely assume that to be the case, as our characters did not know of the existence until Gorod Krovi, where each of our characters possessed a set of blood vials, and they're only just getting their blood vials now. Another piece of crucial information to take from this cutscene as well is the Kronorium pages and the fact that they are different to Richtofen reading them. The Kronorium is an ancient book which, when opened, can literally display an entire timeline of a person's fate, showing exactly what happens and at what time. Clearly, the other Richtofen that we meet in the lab has been on a journey which the Kronorium did not predict. This Richtofen has been going against what the Kronorium has displayed, hence why our version of Richtofen is so surprised at what it's telling him to do. This throws a very interesting scenario, as Richtofen might not be following the Kronorium as what it's been displaying for him in this version of the timeline, meaning what happens next could really be anyone's guess. And the outcomes from disobeying the Kronorium could be catastrophic, and I physically can't wait. And the final thing I'm going to leave you on with this video is the description for Blood of the Dead, officially by Call of Duty's description, saying, in this map, encountering a familiar enemy hell-bent on imprisoning them for all eternity, the Primis crew quickly realize that the future predicted by the Kronorium, the future they sought to secure, is now in serious jeopardy. And I think the whole thing that they're pertaining to this familiar enemy is the Shadow Man. At this point in time, the characters still possess the summoning key. They've not returned it to the house. So the Shadow Man could possibly be in Alcatraz with our Primis crew. A very exciting idea. Definitely. But I'm going to leave this breakdown for you guys here. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it by letting me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you have any other ideas, I'd love to see them shared down below. Let's get a big discussion going in the comment section about the storyline of Black Ops 4. And if you did enjoy it, then a like rating would be very much appreciated, and subscribing to the channel as well. But thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.
Was stumbling around in total darkness part of plan?
You give us the fire, we'll give them hell.
Do not speak so lightly of hell.
Easy, Tech. I didn't mean the real thing.
Gentlemen, we are here.
Where have you taken us?
They should be closer to the lab. No matter. This way, if you please. You're late. Doctor? Doctor? Is there a problem? 2 for each of them. Survival depends on it. Yeah, you remember. So much to do. A vessel for Maxis, the opening of the gateways. Are you sure you're not getting confused? You'll be needing this. The Kronorium. But I've already read it. Read it again. What is the meaning of this? The pages have changed. Our blood. Mine blood. You cannot possibly expect me to let this happen! You son of a bitch!
Let me guess. You're not gonna let us in on what that was about.
Or explain why you have people in freezer.
We are leaving.
So, tak koniecznie.
Asshole.
There! Get to the portal! Now! Scheiße.
I will be reborn!
My God. What have I done?
Move it, Doc!
Get access to the private beta.